All right. Hey, OMG. We are live and getting ready to get started here really quick on a topic that has taken me a long time to bring up, right? In the world of SEO, one of the things that we kind of take for granted is one of the pillars of business, which is traffic, right? So we are able to rank for keywords on Google primarily, but certainly also other search engines with Amazon, Yahoo, and Bing. But there's been this area that we don't really want to look at, which is, okay, content, right? And looking back at it and kind of being in the moment of then and now and trying to really sort it all out, there was an angle of content and conversion that I actually was fairly good at compared to other people in my space, which was construction business owner. Like, it's not that I was at a super high level copywriter or anything like that, but the people I was going up against were even worse than me. So all I had to do was kind of win that game. And looking at that kind of period of my, evolution, understanding, really what an offer's about, what traffic's about, what conversion's about, I didn't relish it and value it as highly as I think I should have. And I also didn't understand how to help people like replicate it. So I didn't tend to talk about it much because I didn't want to come across as, hey, if you get into construction lead gen, you can make as much money as I can. Because frankly, I understood certain things there that I knew I kind of understood insofar as I could sell in a living room of a homeowner, but I didn't know how to teach somebody else to do that. And it's been a long time in the making to build out an understanding of and a framework and a format and a model for helping other people improve on their ability to create content that's valuable, that is perceived as valuable to another human, right? Everything up to this point in my training in, Joshua Fletch training in OMG has been about ranking better, more power, bigger keywords, all that kind of thing. This White Hat SEO forced the issue of needing to address the human element. And that really pulled in a lot of having to pull apart and get to the bottom of what we're really doing as far as creating content on the internet and what it's about. At the end of this, at really the basis level, people realize they're going to have to build a website that makes money to make their life better. If you can't get around that aspect of this thing, you're stuck, like completely stuck. And we've had a ton of training on the technical aspects of getting traffic to whatever offer you create, right? But then what? And like I said, it wasn't in any way that I didn't want to share kind of what I did. I've shared the websites live that I made money with, and so people could see those, but I didn't have a really good understanding of myself and what I was doing on those websites that did well in a way that I could communicate to somebody else. So even starting this series, right, with the Quality Site Base, I kind of pushed this content potential monster down the road a little bit before I was, kind of okay jumping into it and really talking about what I could do to help people understand how to craft an offer. And so first takeaway for anybody on here today, you may already have it, but if you got a notebook open like I do, write this down. Every page you build on the internet needs to be about an offer. It's an offer for you to move the viewer closer to a place where they've got something resolved. Okay. That's the first and maybe most basic differentiation of what we're doing with a quality site-based SEO versus kind of the traditional PBN style website that powers our rankings. The articles that we would create on a website that was like kind of traditional SEO style PBN were generic. And this is not disparaging. This is not to say they don't work, but the task that kind of was placed on this series was talking about the difference between White Hat and Black Hat. And as we've talked about leading up to this and building over 5 webinars and 10 hours of training, is that the only way you can define that difference is by the human element, really, because everything else you can rank all sorts of spam and junk, but the only way you can even define spam is whether a human can find value on the content of the page that ranks. So kind of getting back to that, what are you building on the internet? That's kind of the primary question. And so, this series really forced me to take a look at how I started. And we talked about that in the first webinar of the series that I did, which was kind of retelling the story of my construction company. And many people have heard kind of when I started, it wasn't that pleasant, right? I got a call from my pregnant wife that the utility company turned our water off at the house, and I had to find a way out of that. My initial move, as far as something I had to go all in on, was ranking my construction website. And so what I did was I kind of pulled back and I helped people see that situation and that scenario from my eyes now, which was that I had a website with a lot of really good links going to it that had keyword anchor, and they were topical and they were relevant and everything else. Okay. But the website was making no money because there was a missing element. That missing element for me when I joined OMG was understanding how the algorithm works and understanding what Google valued. Okay, so going back to my construction website, if it would have been 3 months later, I would have gone out of business. I would have let that website expire, and somebody in OMG would have wound up buying ecobuiltcontractors.com or my other website, ecobuiltgroup.com, for next to nothing, and had at their fingertips a lot of power that was just latent, that was sitting there waiting to be used and utilized in a way that would help people, right? Help people. We know the algorithm. I don't want to over, I don't want to be overconfident about that, but we understand how it works and how it has to work based on the technology Google has, based on what people value, all that kind of thing, right? And based on the science we have to back up the premises that we're putting forth. But it still comes down to needing power, needing links, needing to look like you're important on the internet. You have to have links to do that. In any big game, right? In any keyword that gets more than 140 or 300 searches a month locally, you're going to need links to rank. Just are. Okay. Those links can come from on-site. We've talked about that and how we build kind of clusters of content. We're going to get more into that today. But we also need off-page, off-domain links coming in and powering our stuff up. So right now I'm going to go back and take folks through one of the exact scenarios because it still exists. I've got my sites live still from when I joined back in 2013, and they still rank. For keywords, right, that comes into play. If you're online marketing with search engines, you need to understand keywords. We're going to talk about keywords and the content that needs to back them up to maintain rankings for closing on 5 years with no additional work. Okay, that's the promise of today's webinar. Okay, and I couldn't promise that if I hadn't done it over and over and over and over again in an industry that I understood. So what I want to put forth is that you need to become in a certain way a subject matter expert in whatever it is. It could be SEO, it could be online marketing, it could be cat grooming. I don't care. But the reason that you need to become a subject matter expert is so that you can in some way create, whether you write it, do a video, do an audio, hire somebody properly, and then update and optimize it for the web, a subject matter expert, because that's what Google's trying to understand, who the subject matter experts are on topics, on keywords, and they're going to rank them. Okay, so let me jump into the questions and comments real quick before we get going, before we get into specific examples. But today we're going to cover keywords and the content that needs to go with the keyword as far as your ranking strategy goes. I've also got some tools that I use personally to create content in niches that I have enough differentiated value to create something people can see, right? If this comes back a little more context on the construction that I did leading up to OMG. I had studied building science, thermodynamics, construction science, and global sustainability and economics, 5 kind of different things, in graduate school, among other places, Harvard. I had a ton of knowledge, academic knowledge of that angle. When I started doing what are called energy audits in Phoenix, which meant I came into a home or a business and assessed how energy efficient the building was. I had been in the living room of at least 800 people's homes and talked to them about what they could do and why they should improve the energy efficiency of their spot. Okay, I had a decent amount of face-to-face sales experience in that industry, that niche, really tight niche, right? And I also was, because I'd done that, comfortable communicating, and I had an understanding of the pain points and the perceived value of what I brought to the table in that industry. Okay, so I'm going to talk about those and kind of loop back around as we go down the rabbit hole that we'll come out the other end of better off with a lot more clarity on what the first kind of, I guess, slide I got a 2-slide deck today, so I'm paring it down and getting a lot more streamlined, as I typically do in the Fletch's Garage series. But one of the really big questions that I've often seen, right? It wasn't specifically what people asked, but it was, okay, I can rank. I see that. I see the training, and I understand anchor text and reverse sink or swim and all that kind of thing. But what do I rank? You know, how do I go about understanding the value I bring to this thing that I do in a way that people are going to buy, and their life in some way is going to be improved, whether it's perceived or not. But like, how do I figure that out? How do I sort that out? How do I order it? How do I, systematize it? All that kind of thing. So yeah, what did I say I was going into? I guess we'll go into the questions first and see where we are. I've got everybody in a, let me say everybody, our 3 OMG groups. Where are we? Yeah, we're on the right. This will give you people that are on the ball here a little sneak peek of where we're going with content and examples. But we've got the assimilation group here that I just brought up, which is kind of our group of people that joined us in the middle of the 3 groups we have. This is the original NHB team group that we're in the process of moving people over to at the moment. And then, of course, the 2017 group, who have a lot of our newer members, not necessarily people that are new to online marketing, but folks that are new to the OMG community. So I do want to, so if I forget before we get too deep into this content today, I want to circle back around and talk about the next 2 webinars, because they're going to fundamentally shift. If you've been in OMG as long as I have, or digital marketing, or certainly SEO, specifically SEO, and you care about OMG and the people that we have here as much as I do, this is the most exciting thing that I've ever been a part of. And I'm excited to get to, announce part of it to you. But things are going to get much easier, much better, and much happier, kind of all in one fell swoop. And people are going to be able to make more money with less worry. It's almost too good to be true. So that's what's coming within the next 3 weeks. I'm going to talk about it a little bit today. But we are really in an amazing confluence of energy right now with what David and Mike put together, and Greg has been diligent about keeping on top of, and just the energy that the community members, myself, we joined, and we bring whatever we bring, and it's really put everybody in a better position. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. That specifically is about our link opportunities and the systems that we have in place and available to us within OMG that will fundamentally shift the way you think about what you need to do to get links to the websites and the web properties you're trying to rank. Okay. All right, Steve, sweet. Rob, you got your name changed up. Rob is not Rob Bob Oskins anymore, but Rob Oskins. Good to see you on. Carolyn, looking forward to today's session, and you definitely have my curiosity piqued. Do tell. I'll keep a secret for a few minutes longer. Carolyn, thank you for being on. That's me. Michelle here, ready to go. Shelly, hello, Fletch. Happy Sunday, my friend. Shane, based time. Yeah. Just circling back and pounding this home. The only way you can differentiate White Hat from Black Hat SEO is how the human will experience the page. Okay. So, and there's really, it's hard to pull quality site base out of White Hat SEO other than understanding power and quality at the same time. Okay. Carolyn, happy Sunday evening, everyone. Shelly, oh, here we go. I realize after listening to your video today that I feel completely clueless about how to not leave a footprint. Oh, okay. Right on. I'm looking forward to learning more about this and how you think about this topic. Okay. So this is one of the kind of the fundamental tenets of not getting in trouble, right? This is how to do what we do without appearing really over the top, like we're gaming the system. Okay. To a degree, and I've got use cases that I can show you that show this, but Google is not as concerned with you leaving a footprint as long as you're above a certain threshold. And that threshold really comes down to how a human experiences your website and how many humans experience your website. Okay. So the great thing is Greg figured this out 3-4 years ago. It's made 2 fairly massive changes over that time, but we're really in a good place to understand footprint, what we need to do, and kind of why. What it does is it weans out and it thins out anybody that would pretend to be our competition, right? These are people who will not do what we will do for the money that we are wanting to make. Okay, that's in a one way of speaking. That's a certain way to look at your offer. Okay, I'm willing to do this. There are not other people that are willing to do this, and so I win. Speak as, you know, the first person here, but all you guys can say that as well. If you follow the training that we have in OMG, especially regarding the footprint issues, you're going to be willing to do things, understand things, do some extra work, put a little maybe extra cost in or more attention and diligence into projects than other people are. And so you've got an advantage. You're going to make money on that advantage. That the money you make is going to be based on how much perceived value there is in the difference between you and the other people. And the difference between you and other people is you're not going to de-index other people's sites or your own affiliate sites or whatever they might be. So that monetary value is huge. That's why we make a lot of money with SEO powered businesses. Okay. Little rant there. Steve, anybody else's screen frozen from Steve? Shelly saying nope. Okay, cool. Good again. Shane, site power means nothing if you're not relevant and adding value to the end user. So actually, Shane, it does. You can run power through a massive, powerful website that has very little human relevance and rank and push rankings hard. And that's what you'll find if you were to go poke around out there for other people's offers outside of OMG, are folks that have found in certain ways a loophole or a way to game the system that want to sell that to other folks that want to rank. But the issue is that it's not in any way a long-term strategy. It's always going to close down. And it's always going to cause, like, us, you know, our brains problems, because we're always going to worry about it. We're always going to know that, oh my gosh, you know, I powered that site up with just dirty link juice and crazy strategies. And yeah, it's ranking now, but in 2 months, it may be completely de-indexed. We know that. And I kind of mentioned a little bit, like, not that I did that much, but being able to have sound mind, rest well, sleep well, is huge to how well you perform. So, you know, just getting back, this is not to say that there are not things that you can do that are complete plays on, you know, the power of SEO and our understanding of SEO that work. But if you're playing with somebody else's website, their business, their livelihood, I would not employ them. If you're using them to rank your only means of income, I would not use them. You want to play around with them and, you know, have a side project, a pet project, fine for that. You know, in certain ways they can help teach you things, but it's I don't want to portray that that there are none of those, because there are. And if I said there were none and you found one that worked, it would, you know, it discredit my understanding of this somewhat. And I don't want that to be the case. Some of those things work. It's nearly as easy and a lot more in line with creating a better, you know, win-win-win situation for everybody if you can understand the white hat side of creating content and ranking on a search engine. Okay, cool. And not to, Shane's been on enough. I think we got a decent rapport. So I'm not, you know, jumping down that. But I did want to draw attention to it because it's a difference that some people would not notice otherwise, which is, oh, Black Hat doesn't work. Well, if you find something in Black Hat that works, you've created now a contradiction of, oh, well, Fletch said, we should do White Hat stuff, but this Black Hat thing works and it looks like it has a higher profit margin. Now I don't know who to follow or how to really align myself with my values. And that creates a problem, right? Okay, cool. Mike, hey, cool. Good to see you on, buddy. Always fun. I was watching some content from with Mike earlier today. It was something that we kind of talked back and forth about, that was in a Ride the Wave kind of event promo that he got people together at his place in LA for, that I wanted to kind of say brush up on, refresh, kind of understand some other people's language and perspective on conversion and creating kind of addictive content that people can't, the kind of a term that was used was one-way spikes of doom. It's like once you get a certain degree into it, you're almost afraid to back out because you're going to be missing out on something. And that's the sort of thing that I want to help people understand how to craft. And as far as craft goes, this is still just reverse sink or swim in UMAC, but it's understanding how to present site titles and URL strings and site and page descriptions in a way that pull people in, and once they're there, want to make them read further. Okay, and that's going to tie together your keyword ranking strategy with the content that you either create yourself or order in a way that over time continues to build and build, so that it's as close to set it and forget it as I found in digital marketing with SEO, right? Meaning that I wrote an article 5 years ago, I put it on a site, I got it ranked, and it's still ranking. And I haven't touched it, and it's made money the whole time. Okay, but there's a difference in that content and what many people wind up ordering or creating for their either money sites or PBN style sites. Okay, and that's going to be the thing I want to draw people's attention to, understanding and seeing that difference, so that everybody can kind of replicate it in their own terms, in their own language, in their own business models to power that stuff over time. Okay, cool. Lynn, hey everyone, just want to say I picked up a check yesterday. Second one for around $2,400 US. Lynn, I think maybe, yeah, dollars Australian or dollars US, doesn't matter. It's all big money. Website completion in December. SEO excited, pay the bills, and keeps me off the streets. Congratulations, Lynn. And from Shelly here, we got a GIF with, I think, Jon Stewart, maybe. I don't watch much TV, but it looks like he's excited for you too. Carolyn, congratulations. Israel, yeah, awesome. Oh, good to see you on, man. Cool. Lynn, Steve. Charles here. Hey, all, thanks for going an extra mile for us. Fletcher building 4 new sites, and we'll like to make sure the site has quality before we crush the competition on Google. Yeah, it's kind of one of those nice things that, it's not that you can always know you had it right to start with, but you've got more principles to kind of check yourself with. So you're going to be better off. Certainly it's an advantage, right? Would you like to know the type of content you're creating or not really have any idea, but be able to rank it? Okay, you're going to be able to rank it no matter what. There's an advantage to knowing kind of the kind of content that you want to create versus not having that. And that's going to be kind of the essence of today. So I'm glad you said that, Charles. Glad you're on today. Bryce, can't make it today. Oh, yeah. So couldn't be on today. Trudy. Hey. See you on. Chandra here. Hey, Fletch. So get what you just said 20 minutes ago. So I've said a few things, but yeah, it seems like we're on the same page a lot, Chandra. So I'm glad you're on for the session today. David. Hey, Fletch. John. Fletch and everyone. Malcolm. Yo, Fletch. And gang. Double smiley face. Hashtag double smiley face. Kind of like that. And Mike again with the boom. The assimilation group. Irene. Fletch and all. Did you see my email? Oh, I did not see that, Irene. I may be able to circle back around to it. If you could maybe post a little, maybe a content as to kind of what it alludes to or what it's about. I may be able to jump over and bring it up today, depending on kind of the nature of it. This series, the Quality Site Base for White Hat SEO series, is primarily kind of we're gaining new ground, opening up a new area for exploration and understanding. So I do want to address people's comments about this type of thing, but it's not as much of a just straight up Q&A as I'm able to have in kind of the regular Fletcher's Garage sessions. So yeah, if it's about this, Irene, it'd be fun. I love looking at examples because it gives people, one of the things that the Q&A does is that when somebody has a question that we can discuss and look at, someone else may benefit because they didn't even realize that was a question they had as well. Meaning they didn't realize that there was some fuzziness or some gray area that they had in their understanding of how things worked. And the question that someone else might ask, might ask, I don't know why my voice did that, but that someone else may ask can clear up a lot of that fuzziness and gray area. Okay. So that's one of the cool things that I really like to keep as much as I can with these live sessions, which is the Q&A style. I think it really goes a long way toward moving us all forward as quickly and bigly as possible. Keon, hey, what's going on, dude? We need to talk. Keep missing each other. But yeah, we're in good shape. Michael, good to see you on. Excited to be on the Webby today. Yeah, Mike hit me up the other day and said he was going to jump on because he wanted to get a little better understanding of how these sessions were running. So it's always a pleasure to have on, well, anybody really. But Mike is really near and dear to my heart. He's got just a certain way that he kind of is able to look at things and bring energy to things that helps a lot of people. And it helped me, you know, frankly, to have him on a webinar talking about Greg and how great the perceived value I should have of Greg was. So George, one of my stalwarts here every time. Glad to see you on, Mike. Perfect timing on this topic. Okay, cool. Glad to hear that, Mike. And Evan here. Hey, Fletch and everyone. Hope you all are having a good Sunday. Right on, right on. Okay, so let's circle back real quick to the life conditions I had when I joined OMG. Okay, if you guys have kind of listened to this whole series or even maybe different webinars that I've been on, you know, I talked about the fact that I had a website with my construction company, but it wasn't making me money. And I didn't really have an understanding of what the website needed to do specifically to make money. I just knew that my overall business that included construction work was not making money. I joined OMG. I got Greg's training. I understood what I needed to do to close the gap, so to speak, between the website and the condition it was in versus something that would rank. Okay, that was what Greg was training us to do. So I understood the differences. I could see the differences in what I had versus what it should be, and then I just closed those. Right, closing those meant setting up permalinks and URL structure that was good, setting up site title, setting up page title, setting up page descriptions. At the time, there were meta keywords involved. There was anchor text involved. Like all those things needed to be done to make my website have a higher perceived value to Google and also have a higher perceived value to humans. Okay. Looking around at other sites that were ranking, it was harder for me to see things I needed to improve upon conversion wise. In construction, I guess primarily, I think it really comes down to the fact that my websites turned out to really just be better at presenting perceived value to humans than other people in my space. And so it turned out that I didn't need to really improve my content much, if at all. It just needed to be kind of formatted differently. Okay, we'll get to that, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. But my website, actually, if people landed on it, I wound up at least getting a phone call and a chance to help them out with making their house more energy efficient and truly underlying that more comfortable, and making the homeowner, the person that called me, feel better about the decision they made to call me. You know, Mike's talked about this. This comes down to making sure that the visitor that takes action or buys or whatever doesn't look like a fool. You know, that came from, I think, Jordan Belfort even. It really just, I had an understanding of people in the space, and people maybe in general to a certain degree, right? But I didn't understand how pervasive that was. I really didn't have any kind of marketing chops at all that I understood. And so I didn't realize how to turn that up and let it just do what it could do. And that's another thing that I want to kind of translate and transfer to people is, you know, when you know something that you're at least good enough at to make a sale or to help somebody, it kind of gives you permission to go after it more than we do if we're not sure of ourselves, right? So there's a website that I talked about maybe 2 weeks ago, which was EcoBuilt Contractors. That was kind of the original website I had that had to comply by the license that I had for construction here in the state of Arizona. Had my ROC number on it, had to have my bonding number on it, all this kind of stuff, right? I actually had another website that was called ecobuiltgroup.com. And that was my place I went to kind of create a narrative where I could dialogue with people that I knew the offer I had would appeal to. Okay, so if they were looking for, if you can see the screen share I have here, is variable speed pool pump worth it? Okay, it's a long tail keyword, but it's one that absolutely gets searched. It's one that has earned me a decent amount of money when I was doing construction, and then after I got out and I started kind of doing affiliate marketing and lead generation and other things like that. So we've of course got the shop ads up here, which are paid ad here. We've got the kind of position 0, which I've not gone through and reformatted my website for, right? But we've got a blog, a pool company site, and then we've got EcoBuilt Group here. Okay, so I'm in position 3 here for this keyword. This is national. It may be a little bit different for me here than what you get wherever you search this from, but I'm usually in the top 5 regardless. And you know, one of the things that we tend to kind of consider or think about when we're creating content is like, how many words of content do I need to put on my page? What's the keyword density, right? Those are like more primary questions that we have when we're creating or putting an order together for a content writer to create content for us or any of that kind of thing. Let's have a look at this page. Okay, this is my website, and it's got a new theme on it than it had when it was original. Like I say, original, meaning when I joined OMG, it's kind of had a new skin put on it. But you can kind of see here that it's a little longer than what a normal article would be. I've got a little bit of infographic here that's specific. You know, I've got some quotes put in here from you know, kind of authorities in the industry with Pentair. SRP is an outbound authority link to the utility company that's here in the Valley. We call it Arizona Phoenix Valley. As you can see here, I got either dead link. Yeah, so this is no longer even available from SRP. So Video still, or not the video, the page still ranks even though I have a broken iframe, effectively a resource not available, right, on this. But one of the things I'll kind of point to, right, and so I say I rank for this keyword. Is this the only keyword I rank for? In all likelihood, no, right? So if I change the grammar here, our variable speed pool pumps, worth it, and I add a question mark, well, let's see if, I rank for this keyword. Oh, yep, I'm number 3 there as well. Okay, so this is the first thing I want people to understand. You don't rank for a specific keyword. It's one of the keywords you rank for. You need to consider keywords as part of kind of little information clusters, right? Because keywords come down to how a searcher, a visitor to google.com, is going to communicate the question they have or the desire they have or the pain they have to Google, okay? The reason that longer content and more content helps you rank for more keywords is you simply have more phrase combinations on your page than you would if you were only going to put a 350-word article and your page optimization would have said variable speed pool pumps, right? You're limited if you say, you know what, I want to specifically optimize for one and only one keyword. All of Greg's training has been even kind of continuing to shift and point more this way as well, with keyword variability, like money keyword percentages, and being able to be aggressive with those while at the same time having variability in your keyword anchor text percentage. Like all of those things are going to continue to be the case because more and more people use Google every year. And because of the, different places we all come from, there are going to be a lot of different keyword phrases people type in. Okay. So the first thing I want to draw people's attention to is you're going to rank, and you're going to want to rank for more than just one keyword. Okay. So this keyword, which grammatically is a little more appropriate, the last keyword we did a search for, which is variable speed pool pump worth it. Okay, that comes to, get rid of the is variable speed pool pumps worth it, no question mark. Okay, number 3 there as well. Okay, so these are all long tail, but they all have slight variability. Okay, I get that. I'm not saying I rank number 1 for, variable speed pool pumps. But there are I haven't looked at all these to know where I rank or where, these things have changed over time. But what I do want to point to is that there are kind of keyword clusters that you want to consider when you're building your content. Okay. So if we go over to the website here and we look again at how this page is optimized. Okay. Again, I wrote this content, right? There's been discussion of, whether I write content or I don't. I do. Okay. Anything in energy efficient home construction or home improvement, in the IM space, anything related to David Mills' teaching of LOI and contradiction, which is kind of one of the key elements I want to bring people's attention to. I write all of that. I do the videos. I'll show you my process of creating content and then turning it into a lot of different assets. Stephen Floyd did an amazing presentation at the LA event for Content and Commerce about his process for doing these sorts of things. But what I want people to understand is the more understanding they can have of their market, the more they should be a central piece of the content that gets created, because they're going to understand the psychology of the visitor to their website a lot better than someone else will. Now, you've got to consider the numbers, right? If I can order a $2 piece of content from iWriter or I Need Articles, okay, maybe it takes me half an hour to write that same piece of content, but over time, I'm going to make less money with the $2 piece of content, and it's going to degrade because, you know, if you order one of the cheap pieces of content, you go in, you have to run it through Grammarly, you have to check Copyscape, and it's still not really going to be quality content. By quality content, it's not going to have a high perceived value to a human. Okay, this is an article that has a perceived value to a certain type of person that would type in, "Are variable speed pool pumps worth the extra money?" Okay, the initial angle that this article seems to take and the perceived value it seems to, give is the financial one, right? That's inherent in the language of the query, search query, the keyword. Are they worth it? Okay, it's a dollar question. Meaning, I invest $1,000. How much am I going to save per month or per year? Okay. But and the reason I chose this example specifically, the implied question with this piece of content is, am I going to look foolish to myself, primarily to myself, to my wife, to my neighbor, if I put one of these in? Either by not saving money or having my neighbor come over to the pool party and be like, dude, you wasted a ton of money on that variable speed pool pump. I got a $250 pool pump, and I bet you don't even save any, your energy bills on keeping your pool up are probably not that much less than mine are. What I've given people here is the ammunition they need to prove to their neighbor, their wife, and themselves that this is a good choice. Okay, so this is the second kind of key takeaway that I want people to consider, which is you've got the initial value that's going to show up in your page title. It's going to be in the SERP, search engine result page. But then you've also got the supplemental psychological value that people have for decisions they make, wanting to justify decisions they make to themselves first, right? And then whatever that means, spouse, friend, coworker, whoever it might be. Okay. Most people don't take the extra. At this point, it takes me no extra time to order a piece of content that's like this versus one that's just generic that said variable speed pool pumps. Most people I don't say want to, default to that because we haven't discussed how much extra value there is in this sort of content versus generic. Okay. Another angle on this could be 5 advantages variable speed pool pump buyers get, financially with their, decision to pay attention to energy efficiency or something like that, right? That sort of angle, right? This is a list of things that it's like, okay, you got it right. Like, you want to have a rifle with ammo, and I'm handing you 5 bullets to defend yourself or attack if somebody attacks your position of saying, this is why I made the decision. Okay, that's why these kind of like these, 5 things you never knew about, Elvis Presley. Oh, wow. That gives me something to talk about. That gives me something to validate the reason I bought the, Inquirer or whatever it might be. Like, these are just, they're ways the brain works that absolutely 100% we have seen it, right? I guess to a certain degree, you'll kind of have to, I guess, trust me that this page has been ranking for 4 years. Is this, yeah, I don't have a date on this because it's not a post. I don't have a date attached to the ranking of when that page was pushed live. But this type of content tends to do very, very well over time. It's brought hundreds of people to this website, which is not powered up. Like, if we go have a look at this sucker, I have a feeling it's not. We're in Firefox here. Let's do I'm logged in with Chrome. We do new window, drag it over here. So for people that, kind of understand metrics, let's see if Open Site Explorer. know this isn't kind of the favored research tool that we have right now. I'm still kind of familiar with the metrics on this. This has a domain authority of 12. Okay, very, very low. Let's see who I outrank YouTube, DA 100, right? Poolpricer.com. Let's go see what poolpricer.com has. Okay, don't know what they're all about. They may not have much page or domain authority either. But this is one of the things I want to kind of point to. Yeah, they're 2.5 times. Well, it's actually way more than that because it's logarithmic in the scale for Open Site Explorer. But this points again toward you can't just trust the metrics that these aggregators give you. You have to know SEO. Again, what that does is it bolsters and it creates more value that you actually have to create your offer around, right? More perceived value, all that kind of thing, right? So yeah, that's this 29. River Pools and Spas. This is a big site, I think. Kind of seen them around in the industry. Let's see what they're about. I'm going to kind of show you how I use this for, DA 48, right? Outrank them for, like I said, long tail keyword, but they're looking at variable speed pool pumps versus 1 and 2 speed, right? They kind of went with a different keyword angle. For people who don't know the technology, it's not that important. They're both valuable keywords. What I'm getting at is you can create a piece of content without that many links and rank really, really well for a keyword that's going to convert and make you money. And at the end of the day, I want to come back to that example, which was I didn't understand that the website needed to be something that was going to provide an excess and an abundance of profit, right? If I was going to spend $300 a year adding content, hosting, maintaining, registering the thing, it needed to bring way more than that income-wise to me because I had other expenses. I had a contractor's license, I had bonding, I had my vehicle, I had all this other stuff. So it had to be wildly profitable. I mean, wildly profitable for it to work and create a situation where my construction company worked. Okay, because I had all the debt of a brick and mortar business. And that was one of the things I covered, I think, in webinar 3 of this series, which was when you're looking at these websites, which EcoBuilt Group and EcoBuilt Contractors both would have been up for sale if I wouldn't have found OMG and learned how to rank. Someone would have found them and they very potentially would have turned them into a generic PBN style site that didn't rank for national keywords like this, didn't get traffic, and would over time have faded. Like, I don't do like the hashtag stuff or whatever, but like if you get the essence of that, just do like a hashtag I get it or something like that. Because if you don't, I want to continue to help people see that. Okay, this was a website that would have been at auction for sale in 2013, early, that had a keyword that really all it needed was a little attention the right way, and it would have ranked for now going on 4 or 5 years, bringing traffic and sales and everything else in. Okay, that's like one of the huge distinctions that doing things this way, not distinctions, distinctions that can lead to understanding how to do things in a way that are going to grow over time versus degrade. Okay, it's not to say you have to. It's not to say that if you don't have time or you are really great at doing things a different way, you can't make a ton of money a different way. But I know this works, and I know it's going to appeal to certain people that want to understand what the SERP is all about. And the SERP is about, Google finding and curating content that has a high perceived value to people, to a human. Humans go to Google and they continue to go to Google because they know when they go there, they find things that they want or they need, or it feels like they want and need, right? Okay, so let me Let me pull this guy out of the way. We can look at another. Let me go see. I don't know what I have on my site right now. There's another blog post that this page. Yeah, you can kind of see it. I wrote a lot of this blog. Let's see if we cleaned some of this up and we did some random. Yeah, this got a bunch of junk on it now. So that stuff got buried. Yeah, these are just kind of typical standard things. I had a guy that was working with me and for me build these out. I think I did about us. Yeah, contact us. It's not the right. Yeah, you wound up dumping that. But no. Okay. Anyway, no big deal. There was another blog article that I did that was specifically about what I talked about, doing an energy audit on a guy's house. Is my friend. I've known him since he's from the same hometown I'm from in Missouri. And he lived out here in Arizona. I went over, did an energy audit on their house, ran the numbers. He actually is has a master's degree in finance, right? Works for insurance company, and he knows numbers really well. And I presented him with the data of what they were going to save versus the investment and the lifetime value and all that kind of thing. And he's like, you're presenting this in a way where it's like, if I invest $8,000 right now, that if I finance it, I'm going to make, X percent back, right? And you're comparing that percent I make on that investment versus what I could do if I just put it in the bank. But over the lifetime of this mortgage, what I would do is I would take that money that I save every month on my energy bill and roll it into my mortgage and retire my mortgage 15 years earlier, which would have saved me $80,000. And this was an actual dialogue that I had with my friend. And I wrote it up as a story, as a way to communicate the experience of having an energy audit done by me. And that thing, I swear every single time a person found it. And I don't know that because I didn't understand metrics back then. But I can't tell you 80% of the calls I did get said, hey, I read this article. Like, are you the one that wrote it? Are you the one that did the energy audit? And like, is that what you're going to come out and do for me? Because I want to have that experience. Like, it was all about the experience. It wasn't about the energy audit or how much rebates they were going to qualify for, or how much they were going to save. They wanted the experience of the narrative that I had in that article. Right. And I can dig it up and put it as a, an artifact. I think I can probably go find the Wayback Machine if nothing else. But what I want to point to is that understanding your market and speaking to them in a way they can relate to and understand the value you offer is a huge advantage. Like I said, I'm not going to say you have to do it. There's no other way. No, you can create way more generic content and make a ton of money. There's tons of people in OMG that have done that. There's tons of people that rank SEO sites that have done that. But the difference between generic and taking some time to craft your content is huge, right? And then going back to saying, here's five reasons variable speed pool pump is worth the money, or is a variable speed pool pump worth it? Ranking for keywords like that give the visitor to the page a reason to justify the decision they're going to make if they convert, if they take action with you. Okay. Looking at, why most people here took action with OMG. You've got the sales letter, you had the webinar, plural, potentially. You had people that joined OMG that turned things around for themselves. You've got scientific basis. Like, nobody's going to look at that and think, oh, these people are not serious, and I'm not really going to be able to justify this decision to myself in the morning, or my spouse, or my kids, or my coworkers. I can be like, yeah, you'll never believe what I found. Right? That's the kind of situation that you can create with content. And then SEO is just the fuel, the lifeblood of a business, right? If you get traffic to the type of content you can craft, if you take, a little while and consider what people are looking for and what they need, right? What they're willing to value, what they have to value, their self-image and everything else, you can do much better than status quo, right? And that's kind of the promise of today's webinar, which was, okay, how do we create even bigger wins? This is one of the ways, okay? So let me shift all this out of the way and see what we're still sharing the question box. I'll jump back into that real quick. And then I want to show you guys one more kind of tool I use. It's not really a tool I haven't shown you. It's Screaming Frog, which I've shared, I have training on, all that kind of thing. I'm going to show you a way that you can use that to understand what your competition or what the competition Google sees that you have is doing with pages that rank, meaning what does the first page of Google have that you don't, right? So it gives you a target about where you're going to close the gap toward, okay? Actually surprises me. Like one of the things that I was, and this is not just like one specific case, but like, people have asked about, keywords and like, okay, what do I charge for the keyword? And how do I rank for it? What anchor text percentage and all that kind of thing. And people don't just go do a search, right? So let me think of a keyword that might make sense. So best spell properly, multi-track looper. Okay, we've got some stuff in the affiliate space for this keyword. Okay, so if you go do a search for this, and I've installed the keyword tool that Greg talked about in the webinar the other day, that the kind of bonus keyword add-on to Chrome. So that's what you're seeing up top here. So best multi-track looper, people don't go search for this. Okay, so if you went and searched for it, you'd see page titles like choosing the best looper and how and what to play. Ah, cool, multi-track looper. Pretty simple, straightforward, but it's on Amazon, right? Guitar fella here, 10 best looper pedals. Ooh, okay, so if I scroll down as a human, I can either go to what might be a single product on Amazon, or maybe get some better insight, have 10 choices. These guys have done a pretty decent job of talking about, why certain pedals and loopers are beneficial. This may have some value to a human that going directly to an Amazon listing would not. So that's what a lot of people are like, well, how do I outrank Amazon or eBay or Shopify? Sometimes you don't need to. Or you can, especially on Shopify, create a page that reviews multiple or talks about a certain angle on, right? Looper pedal on a budget, right? Easy article to write. And you could contract that written, right? I need articles, and different content providers, they all allow you to create the title for your piece of content if you order it. I'm going to show you what I do, which is different than that, but that works perfectly fine. Most people want to skip the 10 extra minutes it takes people to say, okay, you know what would somebody that's potentially typed in this, because that's the keyword I want to rank for, best multi-track looper, what are some page titles that they would find appealing? Let's go see what is already up there. 5 best looper pedals. Okay, that's cool. Top 10 best guitar looper pedals. Okay, cool. Best loop pedal roundup 2017 roundup, right? These are things you guys have heard of, but may not have, like, and I say you guys, me too, like, just fully close the loop on, right? We're talking about loops. Close the loop on understanding the type of content you need to put on your sites to make it healthy, to make it white hat versus black hat. I say black hat meaning it doesn't have the promise of any real value. Okay, I've got 100 listings here. Let's go down like in the lower, like page 7, right? But Jamman Express XT, Digitech guitar effects, right? Guitar looper, not in that page title at all. Muff Wiggler, I don't want to really know what that is, but I have a feeling it's just fine. But again, doesn't necessarily have an appeal to somebody who's trying to figure out, what the best looper is, because if they don't know what the Muff Wiggler is, they're not going to click on this necessarily, unless it's just the coolest name ever. So that kind of is. I'd probably click on this to see what the heck it is. But you can see here, look, they didn't optimize their URL string. It's a forum page, right? It's the reason they're down on page 7. They didn't take the time to optimize this thing. That's more like my construction websites. I didn't understand what to do. That's why this, in all likelihood, probably powerful page, powerful site is on page 7, 8 instead of on page 1. Okay. People that are ranking it, product specific pages that don't include the category or the main keyword, or have created a category page on their site that's optimized for the keyword. Okay. So this is what keyword strategy is about. You can go do a ton of research, but, and I say a ton of research, you can use a bunch of keyword tools. And that's the reason I wanted to point out to this, right? This is an awesome keyword tool, because what it does is it tells you what the cost per click value is, gives you a decent impression of what the perceived value is, searches per month, all that kind of thing. And then, kind of as Greg talked about down at the bottom, these are other related searches. So best looper pedal for live performance. Ooh, hey, more searches. For some reason, less cost per click. It's more specific. Those tend to be a little higher value. But what I'm getting at is a lot of your keyword research can be done right here in the SERP, especially if you've got a tool like this. You can do most of your keyword searches by just going through here and, another kind of strategy. Let's go look at, Guitar Finder. Go look at this guy, and let's pull up a tool like, SEMrush. All we did was grab the website that's ranking well for this keyword, and we just dropped the friggin' website in here and have SEMrush tell us some other keywords it ranks for. Right? This is good. It's a good keyword strategy. Then once you find those keywords, you can come up with titles to get your content created around. Right? How to use a wah pedal, Epiphone dot review, guitar amp settings. I know it's kind of small. But this particular site gets $5,000 in traffic a month. Where's their value? I didn't pull it up. May have scrunched it too much to see. Usually tells you the value. Oh, organic research. And it'll tell you what the traffic that this website gets is worth per month, typically. Okay, right? $3,000 a month in traffic. Whoop-de-doo. That's cool, right? Marketing costs, typical business, 5%. Okay, so this website, you could probably have a look at creating $60,000 a month in revenue. That's awesome. It gives you a target, gives you an idea of what might be possible in this industry. Okay, if you can create a website and buy it at auction for $500 to get content on it, another $500, you got $1,000 into it, and now you got to get links, right? You got to optimize your anchor text percentage and all that kind of thing, right? We're going to continue to talk about that more and more. You guys have the blueprint, instructions to follow, and all that kind of thing with reverse sink or swim and all the over-the-shoulder training. Again, I want to say, please, stay with this series for another couple of weeks. You're going to see another option for people to get links, which everybody knows. You can go to Fiverr. I say everybody knows. I don't want to make it seem like if you don't know this, you're out of the loop. But you can go to Fiverr right now and order up 10,000 links for $5. And if you really know how to make that right order and you get it from the right provider, and you do it just the right way, you're going to get a boost to your rankings for $5. Okay. But it takes quite a long time to understand how to make that order. It's hit and miss as far as whether it helps you rank your site or tanks it, as far as who you're getting the gig from and how it's going to work out and all that kind of thing. And over time, it's just less and less effective. Okay. There are other options for going out there and getting links as well. Okay. We have kind of traditionally in OMG been not just about PBNs. When I joined OMG originally, there were other options as well, right? We were using Unique Article Wizard, UAW. We were using other link building tools because they worked effectively and reliably in the SERPs. They just became less and less so. So we kind of moved more exclusively toward PBNs. But what that move let us see is a more of the differentiating characteristics of what it took to rank in Google. Okay. So what that's now led to is an understanding where we can look at alternative methods for getting links, right? And if you want to go do outreach, meaning you find a website that's ranking, Will Smith was on the other night with David Mills on the Dimensionality series and talked about ways he would use Scrapebox to look for expired domains, pick them up for $10, and have a site that he could use the power from that were linked to from a ranking site in the industry he wanted to be in, right? It's a way to kind of, buy a previously owned domain and redirect that power to an offer that you're going to be able to create perceived value with. So there are certainly other ways as well. You build your own PBN, and then you're essentially just, building a link to yourself. But at the end of the day, that's all you're ever doing, right? If I spend 3 days writing a bomber article about White Hat versus Black Hat SEO, and then I post it on Facebook, and some people pick it up and they're like, oh, that's a great article, I'll link to it. Right? I need an outbound authority link, and this one does a great job of explaining the difference. Have I linked to myself? Yeah, because I created a situation where the link would happen. So that's why I said the difference between White Hat and Black Hat is the human element, right? And what humans value. And that's why understanding what humans value is, if you want to take it to this next step, that's something you have to be willing to do. You have to be able to and willing to spend some time understanding what humans perceive as valuable. Cool? Lists, advantages, justification, some really simple kind of core drivers that will let people interact with the content you create in a way that's going to build over time, right? All right, where was I? A little bit of a rant there, but we're all good. Oh, that was kind of looking at a keyword strategy for opening up keywords and opportunities to rank for keywords that people may not be paying attention to, as far as just, what do I want to rank for? I did some, I have an offer in, guitar pedals. What are my keywords? Okay, that's what I just went through there, is a way to understand what the keywords that surround that offer are and how to create content for them. Okay, so talked about I need articles, I writer. We've talked about that in OMG before. That's not necessarily anything new, but going out to outsourcers directly and content writers, there are a lot of them that we've kind of shied away from. Because I say we've kind of shied away from, I have a general sense of, if an article costs $10, $15, it's like, whoa, man, I don't understand that value different than $2 that I can get iWriter for. Okay, and one of the reasons that I say that is because, as I kind of mentioned earlier, I didn't really have a great understanding of the difference myself. I knew that when I created content, it turned out pretty good most of the time. It certainly was better than something I didn't do, but I didn't really have a more clear understanding of things like I've shared with you today. Okay, as far as, oh, that a human, the brain's going to say click on that one, versus that's generic and I don't even know why it's there. Okay, so you click on that one, you're going to get traffic from Google, which is a ranking factor, positive ranking factor, and then you're also going to have a chance to convert and all that kind of thing that goes with it. So you can absolutely order content once you understand what type of content you need. You can order content from providers that may charge 8, 10, 15, 20 bucks an article, with more confidence that, okay, I want 10 articles on my site about guitar pedals. I want to create the titles that are going to appeal to humans, and I can give those to a content provider for 200 bucks. I can get those 10 articles done, and that gives me an entire category of blog post to put on an expired domain I found for guitar pedals that's already juiced up. I'm going to structure it according to, what we talk about in the over the shoulders with UMAC, to make sure that Google understands the value of this site and pages that I created now. And you're going to step right into a situation where you're going to get traffic immediately. I say immediately based on how long it takes Google to crawl your site, index new pages and content and that kind of thing. But it's a situation where you don't have to consider a ton of moving parts. Get that, right? Okay, so what if I bought that domain for 50 bucks? I spent $200 on content. I put the content on there. I throw an affiliate offer on there for Musician's Friend, which we're gonna talk about other ways to monetize these sites next week. But if you don't know yet, you're gonna start to understand that most major retailers of info products or physical products on the internet have their own affiliate programs. And that's how you avoid getting a footprint, is you just have a ton of different offers. Okay, so I buy a $50 previously owned domain. I ordered $200 worth of just bomber content. I put that on there. I go get an offer from Musician's Friend for guitar pedals, and I just put that site out there, and I've spent now $250 with it. This is a site that may wind up earning you, 10 bucks a month, 50 bucks a month. It could be a big winner, earn you $500 a month selling guitar pedals or other offers. And it's your PBN, what traditionally would have been called a PBN. Okay. So that's one of the elements that I actually kind of picked up a way to communicate it at the LA live event, or not LA, Las Vegas live event this year. A guy named Roland Frazier, I think, gave a talk. I'm pretty sure it was him. And he talked about turning your expenses in your business into profit centers. Okay. And I was like, oh man, that's actually a really simple way of communicating what getting your PBNs to be monetized is about. Okay. They've already got power. That power we're supposed to be able to then redirect to a money site. The money site was the only thing that was going to rank, but we didn't harness that initial hub of power. But all you got to do is take some time to consider the content on that previously owned domain, and you're going to have an opportunity to convert there, as well as the power is going to be bigger and better for anything guitar pedal or guitar related, or maybe even musically related. They're going to power up with that website in the future. Maybe 5 years down the road, maybe 10 years down the road, right? EcoBelt Group has a DA12. It's not much. You can find domains like that all day long at auction, or you scrape them, whatever. You can register them for 10 bucks, right? And that's got a page on it that ranks and makes, say money every month, it probably averages out to, my commission on a variable speed pool pump. They're, $1,000 unit. I think I get 7% on it, $70. I sell, one every other month. That's $35 a month. Certainly pays for the cost of the website, right? So it's a huge step up we can all make. Okay. All right. Scroll around here in the groups and see how people are doing here with the content today. Pontificated a little while, so I may have to go back through some comments that are a little old. Apologize. Looking forward to learning tonight. Yeah, Scott here. Let's minimize one step and get these fit. Yeah, Chris Haddad stuff was awesome. Yeah, Michael, that's what I was referring to specifically. So yeah, it's interesting. The like the hero's journey format is one Joseph Campbell is somebody I actually studied in graduate school. Not that academia is much, but that was one of the only valuable things I had as far as a kind of defining characteristic or guiding light of understanding behavior, human behavior a little better. If we're doing keyword clusters through LSI and long tail keywords, how do we not optimize multiple pages on a single site for the same main keyword? I actually don't care about that, Shelly. If when we say optimize, like I don't care if 10 or 12 pages on a site have Phoenix SEO in them. All that's going to do is portray more relevance, right? And as long as that content is good, if any of them rank, I'm going to have a chance to convert. Versus you got one page, you send a ton of links to it. If it doesn't rank, you're kind of out of luck. If it does rank, you still got to convert anyway, right? So I would rather create those clusters. And I know you were in LA and you know kind of what I'm talking about more, which is kind of one of the main pieces of content that I talked about at the live event in a little more depth than this as far as those cluster concepts are concerned. But if you had a page for, this may clear up a little bit. This session may wind up being a little long, but I want to get into how I use Screaming Frog. What you're going to see is that the same website may have 5 best guitar pedals for live performances in 2017 and the 5 best guitar pedals for acoustic performances in 2017 and the 8 reasons you should buy such and such guitar pedal and what budget-minded guitar pedal shoppers should look for. All those articles can be on the exact same page. Or not the exact same page, I'm sorry, the exact same website, and power up the relevancy cluster on that website. Okay, they don't fight with each other, they add to each other. They're synergistic. Right? They add the value, right? Together, and they make you more of an authority. Like people consider like, what's an authority site? Oh, I got 10,000 links and I've got 400 pages and then I just hope for the best after that point. No. You create more and better content, and then you attract better links. Now, you say attract, whether you create them yourself or you go out and buy them or you do outreach or whatever you want to do, right? I've got some strategies to make that very, very efficient. I say strategies, tools, frameworks, tactics, whatever you want to call it, right? But in general, that's how you become more efficient is you just make it easier to get more power, okay? So, yeah, I don't mind at all having multiple pages on the same website optimized. And this is one of the things that may have, it may have been in other training that was in OMG for one reason or another. But for much of the last 3.5 years, I've had 2 positions on page 1 for SEO Phoenix with search explosion, my homepage and an inner page ranked. And it was because I had 40 pages about SEO in the Phoenix metro area on my website. And I had good links too. That's not something to avoid. You become more authoritative the more ways you can help people. with your content, more angles you can take, the more ways you can figure out how to position the perceived value someone's going to have when they experience your content. And I know we're in an SEO course and all that kind of thing, but this is about White Hat. White Hat is about humans. So we have to consider that, okay? And not just consider it, that has to be the defining characteristic. Don't let that be fuzzy anymore. Whatever anybody else says on the internet, I've done the mental work and I have the experience to know that is the only thing White Hat can mean, because anything else is, it can't be true, okay? This is David's way of knowing what's true, right? When you get to the point where the opposite is clearly crazy, okay? I've done the work, and I went through it on a different webinar, but that's what White Hat is about. Shelly, yeah, it makes a ton of sense. Yeah, synergy. Yeah, great term for this, right? I'm glad that fell out of my mouth at the right time. But you know, don't consider only one page on your website to be the only thing you can talk about a certain keyword on. You know, because potentially somebody might want to read a couple articles, and you don't want them to go somewhere else. You know, if you presented a great analytical financial angle on variable speed pool pump versus a 2-speed pool pump, cool, except maybe you didn't hit a story that really resonated with them. Maybe they're not in the part of the country that the article, you know, example or scenario was, you know, based on. And so they may not think it's relevant to them or applicable to them. Oh, but if, you know, somewhere in there, it's like, here's what you should know if you live in Florida and you have a pool. There's a link to a different article on your site about people that own pools in Florida and how that might be different than Phoenix. Well, hey, this clearly, the people that have provided this website are serious. They're trying to help me. They're giving me a lot of opportunities to fill out my context, justify my decision to take action, and let me feel good about what I did today, right? And get hornswoggled by, you know, some trick. And they didn't just say, I don't want to push you into calling me or anything like that. You know, I care enough about you to know this is the right decision. If this fits with you, you should call me because I'll take care of you. Right? That's kind of the scenario you want to create. And I'm talking like local business, especially like pay per lead. If you're doing consulting work outside of just strictly SEO, and even with SEO, this is stuff you can get, you know, add-ons to say, hey, you know, honestly, I can bring you a lot of links and a lot of power. We got to address your content on your site first. And, you know, I go through and I optimize the website with UMAC, URL, meta, anchor, and content, right? That may include rewriting some content, okay? And I have providers for industries I don't know that much about, and I can make a margin on that. Everybody winds up winning, okay? Cool. Shane here. Yeah, completely agree with what Fletch is talking about. Thank you, Shane. Shelley, getting it. Cool. Steve, not hardly seeing any anchor text. Hyperlinks, relatively low metrics and ranking. Top one, or page one, top 3 organic. Yeah, freaking impressive. Okay, yeah, that was back to the EcoBuilt group page that I had as an example for variable speed pool pumps. Thank you, Steve. Yeah, getting it, I think. It's all good. Yeah, you know, you go test it. That's one of the things that I wasn't afraid to get my hands dirty, so to speak, and test my understanding of what I had taken away from Greg's training material. Meaning I was like, okay, I think I've got, you know, A to Z of what I need to go implement. And I would go try to implement it and I would get stuck and be like, oh, wait, okay, I don't understand this plugin. I need to go back and watch that, whatever. But at a certain point, when you've done it yourself, you understand it yourself, things shift. And you start embodying a lot more confidence. You have a different mental image of yourself and what you know and the value you bring. It's easier to sell. It's easier to rank. It's easier to get yourself to take action. Those are all things that are just, they build on each other, right? So I don't really know a way of getting around the taking action point. right? Because it does so many things to validate our model of what we think we understand the world to be, right? Of what we understand the algorithm to be, or whatever it might be. Cool. Yeah. Alan, yeah, starting to understand. Right on, Alan. Thank you for sharing. Michelle here, yeah, understand. Yeah, get it from Israel. Shane, it's a great idea about the energy audit. Nothing but value. Yeah, just talking about it. Yeah, I want one. Yeah, it, honestly, it'd be probably a decent thing to call somebody in your area and get one, because you can wind up saving. Jonathan Norfleet is the guy that my buddy that did it. We went through the numbers. It was about $80,000 he'd save for about $8,000 install on his house that was here in Scottsdale, Arizona. Electrician by trade, so understanding the energy savings is right up my alley. Yep. Yeah. Throw LEDs on, sealed cans. We do a lot of like duct sealing, like HVAC duct sealing, new windows, doors. Those are kind of expensive. They don't pay off that much, but you get the resale value on the home. So you just start adding all that stuff up, and it's like what we do when you go through and you watch a webinar with digital marketing. It's like, oh, I sold this part of the project for $1,000, and my one-on-one coaching time is worth $5,000, and this other thing is worth $17,000. And so, all told, it's worth $24,000. But today, you're not even going to spend half of that. You're going to spend, not even a quarter of that. You're going to spend, $250. It's this whole big number. It's contrast. It's helping people see things. People need to see contrast before you can understand the difference. And so that's why taking some time to understand how you can stand out in the SERP can completely change how much traffic you get, even if you may not have that next level of ranking. Take some time to craft page title, right? This series may get into schema, probably no, it won't, schema.org markup, but having stars in the SERP, right? Having a listing in the SERP that seems to, draw the attention or the eye. That's why that's valuable. It looks different. Looks like it has extra value. Go there, say, that's just kind of what the brain's saying, and then see, what they have to offer. Cool. Yeah, Shelly here. Yeah, Roland talked about that in LA. Oh yeah, for DC or digital marketing's content commerce. Yeah, I love the idea of converting expenses into money makers. Yeah, synergistic. Carolyn here. Shelly, this is great stuff, Fletch. Thanks so much. Oh, cool. It's the rest of the replay have to go off. Oh, serve at church tonight. Shelly, thank you for being on. I hope y'all have a great week. Jumping over here into assimilation. Question about how to optimize and rank e-com site like framesby.com.au. Besides doing an audit like Stephen Floyd teaches in e-com training. That audit's pretty. It's a game changer, Irene. The big e-com consulting projects that I've worked on that really were right in line with this series. That was, I got the call due to a referral, but the first piece of differentiated value I provided them was hey, let me show you how far away you are from web standards that Google follows. Right? You don't have optimized tag or category pages. You've not optimized your URL string very well. You're missing a ton of big keywords that you should be including. On and on and on. Right? Those were really high level audit. They took me 15, 20 minutes to go through and just do some like hrefs or Screaming Frog initial content like audits on the website to give them an idea of, hey, okay, this guy, he knows what he's talking about, and he's already pointed out some things and shown me the difference between where the site is now and where it needs to be. Kind of didn't tell me exactly where it needs to be, because if I had, it's possible they would have said, okay, contractor that obviously looks more affordable, will you implement that other guy's strategies? Right? They didn't want to go that far. But that audit can really be an important piece of how you portray yourself as a subject matter expert in not just SEO, but also working with a client. All right, smiley face from Mike. could see I'm on the right track a little bit here. Irene, Trudy, got it. Get it. James, Irene, CPCs given with the keyword tool are different from those given in OMG Command Center. Yeah, I'd have to look and see how those were each pulled in, Irene, as far as the difference goes. Yeah, I'm not sure 100%. Cost per click is going to be a range as well. It's going to have a high value and a low value. So, Chandra, how do you convey this when pitching to clients? I say this all the time to potential clients, but they don't understand what they don't understand. Okay, so that's such a right question to ask, Chandra. Okay, and it's one of the reasons why having a site that's up and ranking well for a keyword is so valuable. Because you can say, okay, I've shown you that power is important, and I've shown you that your site is underpowered. I've shown you that links are important, and I've shown you that your site doesn't have as many links. But let's look at my site, which is underpowered and does not have as many links, but still ranks well. And there's going to be this value that I cannot take the time to educate you on right now. But based on the little bit of education I've given you to help you make a better decision, you have to, in some way, acknowledge that there's this unknown, this X factor that I bring to the table that these other people that claim to be able to rank as SEOs don't understand. Because with more power and more links, they don't outrank me. That is my differentiated value and what I bring to the table. Now, certainly everybody in OMG that's watching this and implementing this is going to have some angle on that or aspect on that. But that's been one of the ways that I talked about it. And frankly, there haven't been that many times when it came to that. Because I had a network of sites that didn't cost me a ton. If anything, they kind of made me money. I didn't have a ton of overhead. If I didn't get a client, it wasn't a big deal. My network was making me money every month. I really got to really vet out clients and opportunities differently because I wasn't as panicked in that sense, right? Which was, oh my gosh, I got 10,000 a month worth of sites to maintain. How do I do this? I got to sell more and sell more and sell more, right? I had my own issues, right? And things in life came up, and my headspace was weird, and sleep issues and all this kind of thing that made me think strangely. But I did know that keeping that weird financial pressure to a minimum is a good thing. It helps you sell clients. And so whether you talk about it directly or not, you're going to be in a better position if you can alleviate some of that financial stress on a monthly basis, knowing the power's there when you need it. You can use it, you know how to use it, but it's not costing you money to keep. That's a great position to be in. That's what I want everybody to move toward with this, right? Get your whole network improved so that it's earning you money every month. And now we get to be, pickers and choosers as far as the clients we take, the projects we take, the affiliate offers we want to get into, all that kind of thing, right? And it's 100% doable. Like it's not, it takes some work. You got to go in there and do the stuff, figure out your processes, get outsourcers trained or do it yourself. So there's stuff that needs to go into it because frankly, it's a little different than what we've done up to this point. You may have 300 or 400 websites that you've got to go address, but you've already got them. It's going to cost some money. But the thing is, you start going through and sorting and saying, hey, this thing's got some real opportunity. There's no junk links going to it. It seems to be, prime candidate for getting traffic to rank for these keywords. Let's just start getting some real, I say natural, like air quotes. I'm doing air quotes right now. Natural traffic from people looking for stuff in this space. Right? This is flipping houses here. I talked about we're buying previously owned domains We don't have to flip them. We can hold them and rent them. Or you can flip them too. That works. But I'm more kind of the hold and rent and let somebody else pay the dang thing off. And then, you know, if I want to walk away from this game at some time in the future, and I've got 500 sites that are getting crazy amounts of traffic and making money and I want to bundle those and sell them, I could have the money to walk away to a whole different level, you know, if I find the right buyer. So anyway, it's something to think about. And it's something that our skill set and knowledge and community can absolutely build. So that's a cool thing. Right on. Chandra, makes sense. Yep. Trudy, you're going to show us how to find the competition pages via Screaming Frog. Yes, I will. There's a different setting in the settings tab on that. Trudy, thank you for reminding me. Chandra here, so freaking true. They do build on themselves. Yeah, never thought about testing the information to make sure it worked. My own conception. Yeah, sweet. Thank you for communicating that, Chandra. That's awesome. Perfect timing on topic. Evan, good Sunday. Yeah, get it from Mike. Sweet. The article with you doing an audit with your friend really reflects on the power of face-to-face sales. Yeah, bringing your experiences to bear. I couldn't agree more, Mike, that when David brought me on was it 2 weeks ago now, 3 weeks ago on the dimensionality, asking if there were, you know, people on the webinar that had done, you know, contracting and had maybe a little more tangible understanding or feel for that value. I started asking some different kind of class of questions about what maybe I'd seen and I understood differently than people who hadn't had that necessarily that personal experience in business. Face-to-face sales is something that I didn't necessarily ever consider myself a salesperson, but I always considered myself somebody who wanted to help. And I guess for whatever reason, one of the things that like I would point out for people who are thinking about, you know, creating their own content in one way or another, whether you're ordering it or creating it yourself. Okay. If you don't believe in your offer enough to take your copy seriously, then you don't believe someone should buy it over a different offer out there. And I'll talk about that in a couple different ways that may have just struck home, and awesome if it did. But if you're not willing to, you know, go for the killing blow when somebody's already on your site and they need somebody to help them, there's a lack of connection with you and your offer. And the thing I had and still have with those industries where I understand that value is that connection. That when they're there, I'm willing to go all the way to make them feel it and to understand what they feel and to take them even deeper and then give them an offer to resolve it. That's, I think, one of the big differences between people who want to just push out a bunch of pages on the internet, rank them, and make some money with phone calls, which I've done, versus the white hat side, which is if you got here, I believe in my offer enough to try to sell you and to understand you and listen to you and be vulnerable to you and to share my experience with you. I did this on webinars. You guys have probably seen. This was in no way contrived. It's 100% honest and true. But I was willing to help people enough to be vulnerable and in some ways embarrassing to myself as a man on a webinar to portray the fact that I understand that this is what we want. We want to have a meaning and a story and a narrative about our experience. And it's why, you know, whether I leave it completely or not with with energy efficiency, home improvement, I get it. I get what those homeowners are feeling. I get what I can do for them that other people are not willing to do. They are not willing to step over that line and personalize it. So each and every person here has their own life and experience and, expertise. And, even if it's something you're developing and building within OMG and online marketing and digital marketing and SEO specifically, you can talk about that. Okay. But the person who's willing not only to bleed, but to, potentially just give it all away, like, and not give it away, like, meaning this is free now and I'm not going to make money, but like, I'm going to be completely vulnerable and honest here with you. This is exactly what the situation is. I can see that you need to get her validation for your decision. And it's because you don't feel like you've made all the right decisions up to this point. You can just cut me off right there and I will get up and leave. But we need to be honest here if you're going to make a good decision about getting insulation in your attic. Because I can't really help you beyond this. I've shown you the numbers. I can't help you beyond this if all of us are not honest and completely transparent with what's going on here. Now, what's this all about? Because I see you guys looking at each other, but there's something that's missing, that's not connecting. So what's that about? And I was in enough situations like that that I understood that's the narrative that's going on in people's heads all the time. Okay, and it existed before that as well in different situations. But that's the one that's maybe most relevant and easiest to talk about because I had a website about this kind of thing. You guys can go back and look at it and see what it was. Okay. And I can go back and look at it and see what it was. And I'm like, oh, okay. That's one of those deals. So from Mike here, yeah, Fletch, do you happen to have a sense of how to use Screaming Frog to do William Smith's PBN method from dimensionality? Yeah, let's go pull that up, Mike. Unfortunately, one of the things with Screaming Frog is I can't make the font bigger on a Mac, or if there is a way, I don't know it, and I've done some digging around. But what we typically will do is go and we'll plug a website in. We'll type in this main window here. And it will go out to the website and start crawling URLs. And it'll pull back information on all the URLs that are on this website. And what this lets us do is to go to a client and talk about things that they've done or not done to optimize, page titles and things like that, right? So you can tell here I have a category of SEM news, right? But there's another way to use this that lets you do competitive analysis and competition analysis with people that are ranking for a keyword you want to go after. Okay. If you go up to the top here, maybe kind of hiding off the screen, the third element on a Mac is mode. You click on mode, you'll see 3 options: spider, list, and SERP. So if you click on SERP, it'll ask if you want to change. If you already have information, just say yeah. And what it will ask you for is a file. Okay. So it's going to want to upload a CSV file of the pages that are ranking in a given SERP. There's a bunch of different ways to automate this. We just go do something like this. Okay, so we're going to do a search for variable speed pool pump, and we're going to let's see if I think I've got it in Chrome here. Link Clipper. Okay, this is another Chrome extension. Okay, that lets you go through and grab the links on this page. Before I do this, though, I'm going to change my my settings here so that I only have 10 pages on page 1, because otherwise we're going to have 100. That's going to be just crazy. Crazy is good sometimes, not all the time. Okay. Okay, so now we're back to regular SERP. 10 links. Okay, so I'm going to search for this. So link clipper, that's clipper with a K. Okay, extract all links. What it's going to do is export these links you see down here at the bottom, kind of animated, to a CSV file. Where's this going to open? Where are you? Oh, here we go. My other window. I'll pull this over and let you guys see what it pulls up. Okay. Let's see if I can make this larger. View, zoom to 200%. Okay. Okay. So what it does, this is what a SERP looks like. You were to go crawl it, right? Because that's essentially what Screaming Frog did. It went and crawled that SERP, and it went and found a whole bunch of weird pages. But every once in a while in here, we'll see some things that we want to compare, right? Pool Supply Unlimited, Pentair, that's a model. You know, another from Pools Supply Unlimited. Oh, wait a second. You know what I may have done? Oh, no, this is one. So yeah, this is one of the results, the SERP results on page 1. So this poolzoom.com Jandy versus FlowPro. Okay. Let's go find that bad boy. What's it again? Oh, Pool Zoom. Oh, maybe that's one of the ads. See it. Okay, so that's one of the ads still again. Go find one here. Easy Pools, paid. What I'm getting at here is what you want to do is sort by this column. Where's my Z? Yeah, so I don't need the rest of that. So what we're going to do is try to get rid of just all this other junk, right? And find the actual websites. What you're going to wind up doing then is to, well, you can actually do this. You can just take that entire CSV. I'll show you guys how this works, first of all. Okay. You can just upload that file, which is in downloads, which was called the CSV. So it takes CSV files, right? You upload it and you run a start on it. So this is going to be, it's going to kind of do some wonky stuff. Oops. Okay. So it's been a second since I did this. I don't want to bog things down here too much. The extraction method that I just showed you with the link clipper needs to be formatted in a certain way. Okay. So here, let me do this again and bring this over and show you guys what you see. Do this again. I'll bring the error message over so you can see it. So what it's going to ask for is the URL, title, and description columns for that file. Okay. The last time I had this set up, Link Clipper was set up to extract that the right way. And what it would do is to go through and find the URL. It would find the page title and page description. And it would do that for every result on page 1. Okay. There's other ways to do this. Maybe I'll put together a little supplemental training on this, because this does really come into kind of competitive analysis of what you're doing. But what you'll wind up getting out of it is you'll get a snapshot of what the other results on page 1 are doing for their content as far as the number of keywords, keyword percentage, title, all that kind of thing. Okay. I don't have a super clear, I'm trying to think of another method that I have that would work easily for a walkthrough on this. I've got one, but I haven't used it for a while. I think it's going to probably be stagnant as well. There's another little tool called Market Samurai. It's a keyword tool that I use sometimes. Let's see if this puppy will extract what we're looking for. Oh yeah, it's out of date, so it's not going to do what I need it to. All right, well, let me push this over here, and if something comes to me, I'll run it. For now, let me jump over though into the group. Let's see, where's that third window? Did I kill it? No, there it is. All right. So yeah, I'll probably go through and do another update. I haven't, the last version of Screaming Frog that I ran for tutorials was in the version 7. Version 8 actually has a lot more cool tools. So probably go through and just update that training specifically, Mike. The best thing to do. Carolyn loved it. Chandra, so humble, trying to dummy it down, still get it across effectively. I have to really practice and state it and then wait and listen. I have a bad habit of trying to fill in the silence because I start to doubt my presentation skills. Yeah. LOL, yes, exactly what I was referring to, being confident in my offer and believing that what I'm offering is what they need. Cool. Yeah, nothing but value, enough said. Right on. I would love supplemental training. Okay, cool. Yeah, Carolyn, sometimes the I wanted to get in that today, but it's going to bog things down if I'm poking around and trying to figure out exactly what that CSV format needs to be, and how to efficiently accomplish that. Right, Link Clipper will do it. I just have to go in and configure the parameters on the macro it creates to format properly with what we need for Screaming Frog. But the cool thing is the file section in the Facebook group is a great place to share those config files. And yeah, I'll probably go through and do that way. X Factor from Trudy. Yeah, Mike, yeah. Regarding using PBNs as a direct monetization, Wayne pointed out that you should be putting your potential PBNs in the command center to see what they rank for. Yeah, many sites you get have traffic, and you can put offers on those pages. Yeah, so one of the amazing things with Command Center, I pointed out SEMrush, but Colin's got the API keys for a lot of different pieces of software built into Command Center. It's one of the most amazing values that I've seen in, certainly with SEO as far as software goes. And it's not shareware, meaning it's not stealing. It's not violating people's property rights. And I, in one way, unfortunately, got quite habituated to doing things without that, because it didn't kind of come on the scene until I'd been doing this for about 2 years, and I kind of had a lot of, I say bad habits, but habits that utilized software that were not bundled into Command Center. So SEMrush does this. Colin's tool, meaning Command Center, OMG Command Center, has those types of things plugged into it. So when I pulled up the traffic that website got, those were based on what keywords it ranked for. Okay. SEMrush does not have supplemental input, from like Google Analytics or Alexa or anything like that. So what it does is it goes out and it runs SERPs and gets the information of who's ranking, and then it cross-validates that with the search volume and cost per click to extrapolate the value of the traffic per month. Command Center does the same thing, and it does so much more cheaply, more affordably. So when I am you know, and I talked about this a little bit, Mike. I know you probably weren't on there, but when I go, and this was a few weeks ago, when I look at a site, I look at the metrics, I look at the links, and then the first thing I do after that is I go and look what it looked like in the Wayback Machine. And then I also look to see what it ranked for, so that I know, I get a sense of what that business was and what its potential value that I can add with the knowledge I have by recreating a better version of that expired website or that auction website. Okay, so this is just as a kind of a recap and to reiterate the value of what Will shared on dimensionality and kind of another angle or different language or another person, you know, again, kind of, you know, communicating this is that looking at these previously owned domains with the knowledge you have and being more diligent, more serious, willing to dig in a little more than other people are going to put you in a position where you have much less risk when you're building your online SEO powered business. Okay. So you want to look at the links, make sure they're good links, make sure they're legitimate links. You want to look at the history, make sure that it wasn't spammed out and bought and turned into some, you know, kind of wild, you know, Japanese website about things that I don't frankly understand. But you also want to consider what you would put on the website as far as content. Is this a website that you've got offers in the industry that you know well enough to say, oh, I can get an affiliate offer for that. I can get 10 or 15 articles crafted. I can rebuild these inner pages, right? We talked about Wayback Machine Downloader, which is a way to pretty much exactly rebuild the site that existed on the domain before you bought it for, you know, $60. That's a very cheap way of recreating that. And that gets it all the way into WordPress, right? You can get it for, I think, 15 or 20 bucks into HTML. You know how to work with HTML files. So some very cheap, affordable ways of recreating a somewhat valuable, I say somewhat depending on what you found, website that you pick up that was previously owned. And then what we're going to do is kind of a home improvement job on that sucker, make it worth more, make it more efficient, turn it into a profit center versus an expense. And then have that, sometimes it could be a primary business. Sometimes it can be used to power up our websites that we want to rank and pages. And sometimes you can put yourself in a situation where you could either sell or trade links with other people, as long as you don't run into a footprint issue, which again, we're going to talk about in 2 weeks, I believe. It's kind of how its schedule's fallen, laying out moving forward for, you know, kind of a tool that's in place to really mitigate that and make sure everybody's safe if they are getting into those situations. So yeah, let me do a refresh on things. Yeah, sorry, Mike, wasn't able to get those kind of last 2 requests addressed directly here when we're live. Oh, you know what I didn't do yet? Ha ha ha! Almost got carried away. All right, so let me jump off the screen share real quick and talk to folks, and then kind of share. So here I am. So one of the things when I got involved with OMG and I started doing kind of office hours, I ran these, you know, webinars, and I was, and still may be, horrible depending on what you're comparing it to. Certainly not huge high production value, but I became more and more comfortable talking on camera without as many ums and ands and ifs and buts and all that kind of thing, to the point where I could record some semblance of content in a video format with one take to create a YouTube video, for instance, or one of these office hours or something like that. I know there's going to be a lot of people out there like that. I wanted to show people one of the things that I do to create content for my websites, whether they are in especially if they're in something that I know well. Meaning if I was going to talk about energy audits, home energy audits that are utility company, rebated or whatever you want to, kind of create as far as an offer goes. What I'll do is use something like Camtasia or a Google Hangout, which records things as well. And I'll hit record and do a piece of content. Meaning, hey, Joshua Fletcher here with Search Explosion. I wanted to make sure that business owners looking for SEO in 2018 are aware of these massive changes that are taking place. The first one is that Google is better able to understand White Hat SEO versus Black Hat SEO. If you have an SEO agency, you need to ask them how they approach that and address that. And if they don't have a great answer for you, you need to go looking for somebody else, because it's going to get you in trouble in the long term. And blah, 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 right? Okay, cool. Once that's recorded, I've got an MP4 file. Okay, this goes back to one of the things that Floyd talked about. He's got kind of his own system. There was someone in, I think, the NHB team group that shared a piece of content about this, a very affordable way of doing it. So once that piece of content is created, that video content, you can do it yourself. You can hire somebody to do it on Fiverr, right? We've all seen those. It's $10. You can get a 45-second video done by somebody. You can pick male, female. You can pick the accent, all that kind of thing. Okay. Once you got the video, upload it to YouTube. YouTube will actually create a transcription of it, what turns into an SRT file. Okay. That SRT is effectively all the words that were spoken in the video. YouTube's version of that is fairly low quality. It misses a lot of words, but it's free. Free is awesome, right? Especially for us when we're creating sometimes kind of prodigious amounts of content. There's a service that I use that I'm going to show you guys. And they actually just released nothing really to buy or through me or anything like that. But if you want to use it, if you've got clients, this is a great way to kind of update the value they have, especially if they've already got a YouTube channel. So it's just called rev.com. And the crazy thing about this is that I almost owned this domain about 4 years ago. It's a wild, crazy story. Some people have heard it. I won't bore you with it today, but it was involved in a big lawsuit and was tied up in courts for about 2 years. Eventually, I wound up not winning it, but yeah, it's all kind of monstrously powerful. Anyway, what rev.com will do is take your video or audio file and transcribe it with a human for $1 a minute. So if you've got a 10-minute video or a 10-minute audio, right? Another thing I'll do is use the rev.com app on my iPhone if I'm going through the mental, exercise of understanding something properly, right? LOI, alchemy, all that kind of thing. I'll talk about, I mentioned this the other day. I'll talk about the key elements that I need to either further understand or take apart or, continue and extrapolate on as a way of making a note to myself. But the cool thing about that note is it's not just audio anymore. Once it gets transcribed, you can turn it into written content very, very easily. The $1 per minute version is somewhat expensive. If you've got 2 or 3 hours of content, you're going to spend a few $100 getting the written content out of that, but it's going to be like 20,000 words. Like it's like a quarter of a book you're going to get out of the dang thing. The really cool thing about Rev is that it recently released a automated version of its software that is 10 cents per minute. Okay, so 1/10 the price. So if we were to go on, and if you guys want to do this, you can. It's pretty easy. So if we had Search Explosion YouTube channel, and I wanted to get a transcription of this video, which was my old branding video, all I'd have to do is to grab this YouTube URL. If I wanted to get the automated version, I could just hit this. This one. So Timmy makes you upload it. So if I'm on Rev, all I got to do is tell I've got a lot here, right? So place a new order. If I want to do a transcription, that's one type of file that just creates everything in like paragraph format. Captions is going to be what that SRT file is. One of the really cool things with a transcription is that if you've seen a video playing, especially in Facebook, and it auto plays, it has words over the video, which are kind of engaging, right? They make you, they engage another part of your brain to make you make sense of what is happening there, right? That's a caption in how this is formatted, right? I'm pretty sure, maybe a subtitle. I'm gonna check. Yeah, so this is it. So all you have to do is paste a URL, do that, hit add, and I'm done. Oh, what was this? No, I don't want foreign. Oh, what did I do? Yeah, so it's gonna output an SRT file. SRT file is the most universal file format for this sort of thing. You can upload it to YouTube, to Facebook Video, to Dailymotion, and to Vimeo. So if you've got a video already created, you've already got a bunch of written content that you can rip with Rev specifically. I have very, very, very rarely had to go back and edit anything. The only thing I've had to edit is how it looks, right? If I want to change a break for a paragraph, if I want to put an H2 title in or something like that, visually, I'll do that. But as far as how accurate the transcription service is for $1 a minute, it is incredibly accurate. It's really, really good stuff. It's how I create a lot of the content on some of the bigger energy efficiency websites I do, and some of the other digital marketing things that I do, is I'll just sit and do a video. And in an hour, I can get 12,000 words out. And like today, we've gone, I don't know how long, maybe 2 hours, maybe 2 hours, 15 minutes. Right, so it's 250, that's, it'd be like 30,000 words of content, right? It's more than 30 pages of 1,000-word articles. A lot of really good stuff, okay? You just have to go through and edit it. Well, you can get outsourcers to go edit that thing too. So this is another thing that we'll continue to talk about. I want to open it up on these live webinars for Quality Sitebase, but now that it's been shown, we can talk more about it in specifics that I use for the settings and things like that as these Q&A webinars continue. If that makes sense. Okay, so that is rev, rev.com, and Temi, TEMI.com. Really easy ways of getting content created for websites if you've got anything that's audio or video, right? And that plays back into what I've kind of talked about all along, which is that the more engaging your content is, better off you're going to be, right? Doesn't mean you have to do a live action, talking head video like this all the time. But the closer you can get to a higher perceived value, the easier you're going to have convincing somebody that you're serious about your offer and what you can do for them to, alleviate the issue they got. All right, let me go grab the other screen here real quick. And we'll kind of wind down. My voice is getting a little dry for tonight. Again, plans for next week are to talk about monetization. I'm going to look at the affiliate programs for several of the offers that I promote. Obviously, ClickBank, Amazon is an associate, very easy, straightforward. Commission Junction, musician's friend. I do some stuff in music. As far as I do some stuff, I have websites that are in the music industry. And then we'll just kind of do some exploration on some of the offers that we create and can create for network style sites. As I talked about, and I think maybe it's Shelly that brought up, she's like, I want to understand more about the potential footprint that we have, right? And how to avoid getting into hot water trouble, that type of thing. Cool. So what I want to make sure that people don't get into with monetizing a site in their network is creating a potential SEO footprint. Okay. And there's tons of ways to mitigate that and eliminate the potential for that type of thing. So I want to talk about those specifically as we move forward to the linking strategies that we have on the week after that. And I think I'll be done with the series then. Take a little, I'd say break, but break from kind of the intensity of the kind of a brand new look at our skill set and what we can do with it as far as crafting, valuable offers on the internet, and then kind of get more into kind of the Q&A, back into something that's a little more familiar to one degree or another, with answering questions not only about this, but just whatever websites and questions you've got about your online business. So that's the plan. All right. Where were we here? Supplemental training from, Carolyn, I remember talking about that. Can you talk about a bit about the upcoming changes with Call Tracking Pro? A little concerned about being Canada, using Canadian numbers and price increase, etc. I believe Phil, he sent me a message right before we went live. I didn't get a chance to read it. I think he was going to leave the original offer there for people who had come in already and wanted to have their own accounts. The $1 per minute, I think, increase is with newer members, but I'd have to look. Full disclosure, this is that's a project that I've sold my ownership interest in, and it's still moving in the same direction it was originally going to go, but it was just kind of a direction that worked out good for both of us. So I still want to support him and support our people that are in it, because I still use it for all my call tracking stuff. It's still amazing software, and I think it's actually going to be able to get a little bit better with what's going on, but I can't speak directly to that right now, Carolyn. You screencast, cheap and effective. Yeah, right on, Shane. Very, very similar. Yeah, Facebook Live does very similar things. Yeah, Shane, very interesting. Going to try Rev. Yeah. Oh, Carolyn, yeah, they're awesome. Right on. Question, when you put subtitles on YouTube videos, can Google see them and use them for ranking? No. Well, not directly in the video. So if I were to take that SRT file and turn it into an MP4 file on my computer, and the words effectively would be in the MP4 file before I upload it, Google cannot see those. But if you upload the SRT file to YouTube, then yes, it is part of what will go into the understanding, so to speak, of that page in Google's eyes. So one of the other things you can do is take that SRT file and put it in the description, meta description of the YouTube video you've got, and you'll get credit that way as well. So cool. Thanks, Fletch. Awesome sauce in the garage. Lynn, thank you. Sorry for the pause. Trying to catch up, but very much appreciate you, Joshua. Oh, that was me. Thank you, Lynn. Always good to have you on. All right, what have we got here? Oh, I must have clicked on a different link. Is this? Yeah, this is the thread for today with simulation. Back, Bryce. Gold Nugget, use transcriptions for more efficient video SEO. Boom. Oh, yeah, right on, Bryce. I'm glad. Yeah, a lot of people are, especially with, that paid attention to what Morpholio's doing with SEO. It's an efficient way to get a lot of content If you guys may have seen too, I started doing podcasts, and not like I've done many, but that's another angle on getting content out there that different sorts of people are going to resonate with, right? So I've got my, I'm on iTunes, I'm on Google Play, I'm on Stitcher, I'm on a few different services right now with the podcast. That podcast actually was a live video recorded. I just pulled the MP3 out of it and put it on a podcast server and then integrated it into WordPress, right? So now I've learned kind of how to do that a few times, and we'll continue to work on it. And when, I figure out some SEO angles on that kind of thing, like one of the neat things about that, we, kind of one of the angles that we took on SEO for 2018 was, kind of the white hat thing. And like one of the examples we have was ranking for, your name. So my name is Joshua Fletcher. There's a band, a guy named Joshua Fletcher. He had a band called the Six Shot Romance. I actually owned one of his CDs, and it's really good. But up until I put the podcast together about 2-3 weeks ago, when I typed in Joshua Fletcher, he was all over page one. After having implemented the podcast, and like I said, I'm tracking all this, and I'm going to figure out a little bit more about how it's all pulling together. Search explosion, Facebook, that's the other Joshua Fletcher's information. But my Joshua Fletcher website that I've embedded that podcast on moved from like page 2 or position 9 to number 4. That, like I said, Joshua, whoever's looking for Joshua Fletcher, in all likelihood looking for the band. But it is interesting and of note to consider that more quality content on the web has a fairly, drastic influence on your ranking in Google. That's put out under my brand. I've got a URL, reverse sink or swim style, UMAX style, on iTunes.com, which is pretty rad. These are all things that line up with our understanding of training. It's not that you don't have access to them. It's just putting spam on something like iTunes, you're going to get reported. On Google Play, you're going to get reported. But I've got a reverse sink or swim optimized page on Google Play, play.google.com for Joshua Fletcher, right? URL optimized. So again, pretty cool. And Google obviously is fond of that to whatever degree they are. So I want to kind of mention that as well. We'll continue to talk about that with content, but kind of fit into today's lesson. And did want to kind of make note of that podcast. I'm looking at the technology for streaming internet radio as well. It's a little bit different. Not that I'm trying to branch out too much, but in certain ways, I can kind of take my foot off the brake a little bit more than I could before. I've come to understand some things that were really cloudy and foggy for me leading up to the last couple months of my life. So cool. Trudy, rebuilding PBNs into viable, valuable sites creates so much more value in Google. Taking me a year to understand PBNs in the entire world of SEO. Now I'm comfortable. Right on. I've been buying PBNs for the last 2 weeks. This is so exciting. Thank you for tonight's explosive session. Thank you, Trudy. That's awesome. I love it. I love it. Okay, cool. Article. Okay. Yeah, that was back a little bit ago with Mike. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, excellent. And then Mike, regarding using PBNs as direct monetization, when you point. Oh yeah, I read that too. Okay, cool. So I think we're in good shape. I'll probably wrap up for today. One of the things that I have been going back through and doing to help organize this session and a lot of our training moving forward is to put bullet points with each of the live webinars that we do. So I've got the information I need to get to David. When you visit this in the OMG Machines training area, moving forward, you'll have some bullet points that contain kind of the main topics that are talked about in each of these, kind of marathonish sessions. to help people kind of scrub and find what they're looking for. I've actually transcribed them as well. It's a lot of content. Seriously, a lot. Like looking at it, it's like, pages and pages and pages of doc, .doc file. I don't think that would be necessarily that helpful for OMG in the membership area. But one of the things I may consider doing is I've got those as SRT files, and I may create an actual MP4 video just like this, but what you'd see is the words on the bottom of the screen, so people could get a visual impression of the difference between this style of video or a screen share style of video or a video that has an SRT file running on it. You guys can find those obviously, but I did want to kind of play around with how much it's kind of a different modality, right? Your eyes are now involved differently, interpreting symbols and creating meaning in a certain different way, with how much potential effectiveness that had on helping people remember things and kind of make sense out of things. So anyway, your comments are welcome on that element. But other than that, I'll wrap up tonight. We'll be again live next Sunday in the Facebook groups between now and then. Next Sunday, we're going to hit monetization, which is going to be awesome. And then again, the last or following week is going to be linking strategies and opportunities we have to get more links. And yeah, I think I'm done. I think I'm done talking now. Okay, now you guys go rank. Did my piece. Go build sites, build links, build relationships, and make some money and report back. We want to hear about it. So you guys take care. We'll talk to you again soon.